Well, hello, welcome to the show we like to call Countdown to Restoration, because we do count down the days of the increasingly apparent incompetent Biden regime till we, the country, the people, we, the government, we're the actual government, we, the people, get back to normalcy and away from the plague known as the Biden regime, headed by the thief in chief. Yeah, the thief in chief. Yeah, thanks, buddy. Thief in chief. Okay, let's go. Got to keep moving. A lot of show. Of course, we're on Rumble, channel DANWT, capital DANWT, and YouTube, channel Danny Thompson. That's me. Hi, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. The poster child for the incompetent Biden regime, as you can tell by his pick to be the deputy secretary at Health and Human Services, which are having their own problems, by the way, and creating havoc, Dr. Rachel Levine. And today we have the lovely, late but lovely Tammy Wynette to give us the Dr. Rachel Levine theme song of the day.
Sometimes it's hard to be a woman, 'cause after all, he's just a man. Stand by your man.
Yes, it's hard, isn't it, Doc? After all, you're just a man. Anyway, what's going on in the world that will make him smile or not? I don't know how. He probably is smiling at this. Remember yesterday we told you they reversed the rule that the Trump administration had on sexual orientation as far as health care. Trump administration based it on biological sex. They, of course, led by this person, so shock, are basing it on identity, sexual identity. And so Biden forcing Catholic religious entities to violate beliefs with new HHS rule, critics say. Now, as far as we know right now, the rule that gives us, the right to protect our religious conscience is in effect, but we don't know how they'll interpret that. But, of course, hospitals and other religious healthcare organizations are understandably worried about how this will affect them, especially if they receive, mainly if they receive government funds such as Medicare, Medicaid. Well, that's a lot, isn't it? Yeah. So, and insurers have to now change everything. So it's a mess, but that's okay. That's the world they want us in. And you can go and find out more about this. Secular Democrats of America. Again, I'm not overhyping an inconsequential group. These people have a lot of say in social policy as they move us toward a godless existence. SecularDems.org is where you can find them and learn more about them. Yes, I know. Same thing every day. Well, we've got to. Nobody else is telling you about them. Oh, what are we learning, though? Remember, I think it was yesterday also, we let you know that there were some bishops, the Bishop of San Francisco, saying that President Biden and pretend President Biden and the wannabe president, but Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, as Catholics, should no longer receive communion because of their pro-abortion views. And, of course, the Vatican now, as they went nuts when they heard that, sounds alarm over U.S. bishops' potential plan to deny Biden communion in pro-life fight. The Vatican, the Catholic Church that ruled countries for years and still does in many countries, especially south of the border, not as much as they used to, But they are afraid of now being seen as trying to run a sovereign country's policies. And so they want this to be decided on by the whole conference of bishops and passed to the Vatican. And even then, each individual bishop would be able to make their own rules. But see, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the problem is in the world. The church is all political. You know, if you go to church, you shouldn't be bowing to political pressure. That's how come in Canada over the weekend. Remember the minister that stood up to the Canadian Nazis, as he called them, stormtroopers, the Canadian police that came into his service, threw them out because they were meeting lawfully. Well, he and his brother, they pastor, and they, I guess, crossed an attendance limit level, and boy, they came and hauled them out. And the two preachers, they wouldn't stand up on their own. They made them drag them. That's some good theater. Anyway, and good, but you know, the church keeps giving in to all this political stuff. The Catholic Church does not agree with abortion, does not agree with same-sex marriage. It doesn't agree with a lot of things that these two push into law. And advocate. It's not just like that they just, okay, we can't do anything about this. No, they push it. So the church should say, no, you're wrong. You don't belong here. But they don't want to hurt political things. And that's part of what's wrong in the world, because people won't stand up. This is another group that won't stand up. The press. Shock, shock. I know. But this is nothing we don't know, but it's actually being written down. White House press corps handed editorial control to Biden team. Now, this happened under Obama. That's where it started. And the Trump people did it some. Okay. But under Biden, man, they're going nuts with it. I mean, they're controlling everything. The Biden White House has been exercising editorial control over the press corps tasked with covering it, Politico reported Monday evening. I don't know what they're going to do to Politico, but, man, you know, these people retaliate by insisting upon a background with, quote, approval. So if you write a story and you quote one of the members of the regime, they get to approve it. Remember I told you they had a background call on the American Jobs, American Families Plan or something, and I noticed it before. Whoever is speaking, they won't name them. They just put on the call, the printout of the call, a senior White House official. They won't put names, and that way nobody can attribute a quote to someone. You know, it's the most childish, there's a word for it, but I won't use it. It's just the most childish, nobody wants to own up to what they say. All right. By insisting upon a background with quote approval as a condition of speaking with members of the press, the Biden administration has been able to revise and even throw out quotes that White House staff have given to reporters, ensuring a less accurate but rosier picture for the public. So if they come and say, all right, this is what we're going to say, they say, oh, let's look at it. We want to make sure it's in the right context and all that. If you've read a quote from an administration official in a newspaper or a wire story recently, there's a good chance that the White House communications team had an opportunity to edit it first, explained Thompson and Meyer, who admit to having agreed to such terms themselves during an interview with White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield. I don't know how to say that. While White House reporters are increasingly frustrated by the abuse of this practice, they're also loath to refuse requests for quote approval lest other reporters gain a competitive advantage over them. Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times, called it a pernicious insidious, awful practice that reporters should resist, going so far as say that the practice allows powerful figures to control what's in stories about them. Press Secretary Jen Psaki responded to a request for comment by attacking the press and dodging the issue at hand, saying that the White House would welcome any outlet. Now, see if you believe this. The White House would welcome any outlet banning the use of anonymous background quotes that attack people personally or speak to internal processes from people who don't even work in the administration. Which is saying, yeah, you cross this line, we won't talk to you. We won't talk to you. And we all have seen Jen get mad, right? And she doesn't like it when you cross her. Yeah. So anyway, that's what's going on. And the media, if they would just do their part and just say, well, we're not going to publish your stuff. We're not going to put out your information. We're not going to clear things for you. We're not going to get it out in the public for you ahead of things like we know they do. I showed you that yesterday. I've told you that before. We're not going to help you anymore. But they won't do that. Because number one, like they said, there is competition. They don't want somebody playing the game and getting all the exclusives. But number two, and maybe the real number one, they want to help this White House get their story out. And don't doubt it. Okay, we're going into some COVID news. Quite a bit of it. We're going to start with this, which we already also knew, but the CDC wouldn't tell us. CDC risk of coronavirus transmission outdoors greatly exaggerated. Bombshell report finds. We already knew this, but see, the media, they want CDC proof, I guess. A stunning New York Times report claims that the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimate that the risk of coronavirus transmission while outdoors is around 10%, is greatly exaggerated. So you don't even have a 10% chance of catching the coronavirus outdoors. Yeah. CDC has cited the estimate to back up its recommendation that vaccinated individuals do away with masks in certain outdoor situations, but should keep wearing masks during others. According to the Times, the 10% benchmark is based partly on a misclassification of some virus transmission in Singapore at various construction sites that may have actually taken place in indoor settings. Singapore also classified settings that were a mix of indoor and outdoors as outdoors, including construction building sites, the outlet reported. And this is coming from the Times, so, you know, they're not really on our side. Still, the number of cases reported at the various sites did not add up to as much as 10% of transmission, but was more like 1% or less, the report stated. In a Senate committee hearing on Tuesday, it's today, Senator Susan Collins, Republican Maine, pressed CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky on the report and said it was one of three recent examples of conflicting, confusing guidance issued by the agency, with the other two involving school reopenings and summer camps. Walensky said the 10% benchmark came from a meta-analysis top-line result from a study published in the Journal of Infectious Disease back in November. You know, you just own up to it, Doc. The top-line result was less than 10%, published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases, one of our top infectious disease journals, she said. That is where that came from. It was from a published study that synthesized studies from many places. Collins requested that the full report be placed in the record. There are limited data on outdoor transmission, a CDC official told the Times. The data we do have supports the hypothesis that the risk factor of outdoor transmission is low. 10% is a conservative or high estimate, I guess. From a recent systematic review of peer-reviewed papers, CDC cannot provide the specific risk level for every activity in every community and errs on the side of protection when it comes to your health, ladies and gentlemen, or so we assume that's what they're going to say next. Where are we at? Where errs on the side of protection when it comes to recommending steps to protect health. It is important for people in communities to consider their own situations and risk and take appropriate steps to protect their health. Multiple officials have said that the CDC will continue to monitor the data in real time and make adjustments as needed, including Dr. Anthony Fauci and Walensky. However, critics say the agency's conservative approach to dropping mask mandates is discouraging some from seeking vaccines. Which, it's people think, why do I need to get vaccinated if I still have to wear the mask and have to act like I'm not vaccinated? We're at the point right now where we can start lifting these ordinances and allowing people to resume normal activity. Certainly outdoors. We shouldn't be putting limits on gatherings anymore. We should be encouraging people to go outside, former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb told CBS Face the Nation on Sunday. In the states where prevalence is low, vaccination rates are high, and we have good testing in place, and we're identifying infections, I think we can start lifting those restrictions indoors as well on a broad basis. In other words, what's the point of doing all this? If life can't ever return to normal, I mean, come on. And look at this in California, a couple of California items in the news today, some later on. LA County could see coronavirus herd immunity by July. So there's already herd immunity in the expansive homeless population there. But fourth wave of COVID-19 hospitalizations hits Washington State. Oregon's already having it, now Washington State. Let's go to this one. As the coronavirus outbreak recedes in many parts of the U.S., the Pacific Northwest has emerged as an outlier, gripped by a late spring surge that has filled hospitals in the metro areas around Seattle and Portland. In recent weeks, the governors of both states have hit the brakes on reopening plans in hopes of countering the rapid spread of the more contagious B.1.1.7 variant of the coronavirus, first identified in the UK. Watch out, India's on its way. In Washington State, new hospital admissions for COVID-19 have been higher during this current surge than at any other time except for this past winter. And they blame not only the new variant that it can work around vaccinations, but also seems to affect younger people more, but also because it's been cooler and wetter there and people have stayed indoors instead of going outside where obviously you can't catch the silly thing. All right. We have some climate news, so we bring our friend Woodsy Owl in. Take it, Wood.
Hi, I'm Woodsy Owl, and I want to thank you for doing a great job in trying to stop pollution. But we need more help. We can't do it all. So, help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go. Come on, you can let some people know. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the snow or on the sand. Help keep America looking grand. Oh, help Woodsy spread the word. Never be a dirty bird. No matter where you go, you can let some people know. Give a hoot, don't pollute. Never be a dirty bird. In the city or in the woods, help keep America looking good.
Yes, and I agree with Woodsy. Give a hoot, don't pollute. There's no sense throwing trash around and doing things you know you don't have to do, but we do have to live. as many are finding out every day. Now, we did that instead of our stock photo of John Kerry, but the man's just so distinguished looking. It's hard to not show him. I don't know. All right, we do have some climate news. Air pollution from farms leads to 17,900 U.S. deaths per year. Air pollution. And if you've been around some farming operations, livestock operations, etc., boy, can it stink. The smell of hog feces was overwhelming. Elsie Herring said the breezes that wafted from the hog farm next to her mother's Duplin County, North Carolina home, carried hazardous gases, methane, ammonia, hydrogen sulfide. The odor is so offensive that we start gagging. We start coughing. And out here, we drive past some cattle feedlots every now and then, and it ain't pleasant, I'll tell you. We start coughing. She told a congressional committee in November 2019, Herring, who died last week, said she and other residents developed headaches, breathing problems, and heart conditions from the fumes. And of course, I would assume it's probably hard to sell your place when you're next to a hog farm. I don't know. I mean, there's some things it's just like, wow, what do you do? Now, a first-of-its-kind study shows that the air pollution from Duplin County farms is linked to roughly 98 premature deaths per year, 89 of which are linked to emissions directly caused by hogs. Those losses are among more than 17,000 annual deaths attributable to pollution from farms across the United States, according to research published today in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. Animal agriculture is the worst emitter, researchers say, responsible for 80% of the deaths from pollution related to food production. Gases associated with manure and animal feed produce small lung irritating particles capable of drifting hundreds of miles. These emissions now account for more animal deaths than pollution from coal plants. Yeah, but if they can float 100 miles, how do you know where you got it from? I mean, I don't know. Oh, we already did that. These emissions now account for more annual deaths than pollution from coal power plants. Yet while pollution from power plants, factories, and vehicles is restricted under the Clean Air Act, there is less regulation of air quality around farms. Now I point these things out because you can tell where they're going to start trying to go. Now they're going to start trying to regulate that. And that means food prices are going to go up higher. And they have a chart. Deaths linked to fine particle pollution from agriculture, 12,700 annually, 4,000 from beef, 1,800 from dairy. Get it bigger there for you. Chicken, 1,300. Feed exports, 1,200. Pork, 3,300. Close to beef. Eggs, 600. Other meat, 500. Grain, 800. Sugar, 800. Crop exports, 600. Oils, 300. Other, 600. Biofuel, 1,200. Other, 800. 3,200 deaths linked to plant-based food. 2,000 deaths linked to non-food agriculture. So they are using all of this so they can regulate it. Now, the only way, unless you put a huge dome over hog farms and figure out some place to take all the emissions from them, is to cut back production, which means less food, which means higher prices, and that's what they want. They want all of this. They love it. They love it. It's just what they do. All right, got some exciting news for you on the wind energy front, if that excites you. Personally, I agree with Donald Trump who said these things are an eyesore. They without the tax credits, they're not even cost effective. It takes a lot of energy to produce these things. It takes a lot to keep them going. It's not what they make it out to be, and eventually, you know. Anyway, and they are ugly. Ladies and gentlemen, they are ugly and they cause damage, but that's all right. It's okay. Nation's first large-scale offshore wind farm approved. Biden admin greenlights project off Massachusetts coast. And I can't believe that they got it across from Martha's Vineyard, but okay. The Biden administration on Tuesday approved the first large-scale offshore wind farm in the United States, a project that envisions, where are we at? Building 62 turbines off Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts and creating enough electricity to power 400,000 homes, unless you have a calm day. The vineyard, or too windy of a day. If it's real windy, then you got to turn them off. Vineyard Wind is the first of several massive offshore wind farm proposals that could put more than 3,000 wind turbines in the Atlantic Ocean from Maine to North Carolina. The Biden administration has committed to processing the other 13 projects under federal review by 2025 in an attempt to meet the administration's ambitious goal of producing 30,000 megawatts of electricity from offshore wind by 2030, powering some 10 million homes. And you know, of course, there's already environmental lawsuits getting ready to be filed and everything, because these things are damaging. So far, just 2 offshore pilot projects are operational, one off Rhode Island and the other off Virginia. Together, their 7 turbines produce 42 megawatts of electricity. The coming projects are far larger and have generated opposition from some coastal communities and commercial fishermen. Environmentalists also have raised concerns about the potential impact on fish, birds, and marine mammals, including the North Atlantic right whale, a critically endangered species that migrates through swaths of ocean designated for wind farm construction. Now, we do know that if that was an oil rig, there's no way that they would give that a permit. So we'll see how all of that goes. Now, this is kind of a cross between climate, energy, and money. Gas pumps run dry in U.S. South as pipeline shutdown bites. Okay, we have another one, less poetic. Colonial Pipeline CEO warns of fuel shortages following cyber attack. Yesterday, Miss Sherwood Randall said at that time there were no shortages, but that was yesterday when I was young. Yesterday, I had lots of gas to put in my car. Now I can't drive very far. Well, I believe in yesterday. And here we have the Secretary of Energy, former governor of Michigan. And she is telling us like what Liz Randall Sherwood sold us yesterday. They've got to look at this infrastructure thing, this privately owned infrastructure that affects the country. They're dropping hints, ladies and gentlemen. Come on, get on up. Oh, come on. You know you said it. Here you go.
At the same time, it certainly is a reminder that we need to take a hard look at how we need to harden our necessary infrastructure, and that includes cyber threat.
So this is giving them an opportunity, as Rahm Emanuel, who was the chief of staff for President Obama, once said, never waste a good crisis. Rahm, who's being considered to be the ambassador to Japan. We're sorry, Japan. We do have better, but I guess we could give you worse. I don't know. All right, what else do we have about all of this and energy and Which one is this? Let us see. I'm not, well, we'll find out together.
The Secretary referred to a moment ago, said yesterday there should be mandatory cybersecurity standards for pipelines. Do you agree, and is this administration going to try to put those in place?
So our conversations within the administration are ongoing and have been underway with respect to what measures we need to take, both administratively and, of course, in a companion effort, the legislature to see how we can raise the cyber hygiene across the country.
I will interpret that for you, ladies and gentlemen. Take over, take over, take over, take over. They want to get into all of your computers in the name of protection. You ever watch the little movie, The Net? Here we go. All right, what else do we have? What else do we have? Where are we? Where are we? We have this about electric vehicles, which fits in the climate genre, but also jobs. So it too is kind of a mix. All right, here we go. Take it, Jen. Hope you're having a good day. Didn't really seem to have a good, smooth press briefing today.
One more on the president's trip to Michigan next week. And we understand he plans to visit a Ford electric vehicle plant. Both General Motors and Ford are planning to build electric vehicles in Mexico, as you're aware. We're curious to know if the president agrees with the United Auto Workers Union that government subsidies for such vehicles should not really go to cars that are made overseas.
Well, first, I would say that we're honored that we're looking forward to going to visit the Ford Motor Company and to see the F-150 Lightning and the exciting technologies that make it possible. And the president's going there because electrifying America's best-selling vehicle, or electrifying America's vehicles is an important part of his priorities, an important part of his focus. That's why he's going to visit the site, but I don't think I'm going to weigh in on that further. Go ahead, Pete.
So we get the commercial, but not the answer. Yeah, because that really doesn't make much sense, does it? We're going to give these companies subsidies to produce electric vehicles, and then they're going to take the jobs down to Mexico. But we have nothing to say on that, ladies and gentlemen. We have nothing to say on that because we know what we're going to say is stupid. Yeah, we're going to let them do it. She knew the answer. She just didn't want to say it and get everybody in trouble because she couldn't edit that answer, ladies and gentlemen. Just bring it. It's the money segment. And Joe, you can't buy us with your money. I'm not saying it can't be bought, but it's not your money, it's our money. Job openings surged to record 8.1 million openings, but business is struggling to hire workers, but that has nothing to do with the unemployment. And we had one on unemployment benefits. Did we get that in here? Did we get that in? Why do we have her still? No, because that's him. Did we get that in? No, we didn't. Well, let's... Because even the Department of Homeland Security is having a problem finding people to work for them.
For you,
Are you having any issues filling some of these critical infrastructure jobs? I know this has been sort of a historic problem in finding people who are qualified to take on mass-scale cybersecurity for the federal government. That's a huge undertaking. Are you still having some of the issues that we've seen sort of on and off throughout history, really in the history of DHS, filling those positions with qualified applicants?
So it's a very interesting question. So let me say, we launched a series of cybersecurity sprints several weeks ago. Our first cybersecurity sprint was on ransomware, precisely because of the threat, the gravity of the threat that poses. Our second sprint is precisely on recruiting and retaining top cybersecurity talent. Bless you. Top talent, and we're very focused on that, and we're very focused on also achieving one of the president's critical directives to reflect a critical value, which is that our cybersecurity talent will achieve diversity, equity, and inclusion. Thanks.
The short answer, yes, we are having a hard time hiring people. Yeah. Yes, we are. We are. And we will do what? We'll find the one on unemployment. That is an oversight on our part. Give me just a quick second here. I believe it's this one. So let us see, because, hey, could it be that the unemployment is the reason? I mean, states are dropping it. Come on, Jen, help us out. Give us an answer.
How is the White House responding to states that are planning to end the special unemployment benefits? Are you just going to let that happen?
The special enrollment benefits?
Unemployment benefits.
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear the last part of what you were saying. Look, ultimately, it's up to states to make that determination. What we've seen in the data, and we've seen the explanations that have been put out there by some leaders in states and some leaders even in Washington, and they have blamed $300 checks that are going out to Americans as the reason for an unemployment report that was lower than expectations. We're not actually seeing that in the data as the root cause. And what we've seen in the data as the root cause are a range of issues, including primarily the fact that we're continuing to fight a pandemic. And there are a lot of implications of that. One of them is people being fearful about being safe if they're not vaccinated. One is childcare. These are a lot of issues that we're working to address. But in our view, we still have a disproportionate number of people in a range of communities, a high level of unemployment among African Americans, Latino Americans. There are still people who need assistance, and we're not seeing this as a root cause or a major factor in people not seeking work.
Would you be specifically telling states that are looking to end these benefits? Is there a specific message to such states?
I think I just conveyed it's up to the states, but again, we're not seeing this as the root cause driver of people not seeking work. Of course, we're going to see anecdotal examples. We certainly recognize that, but what we're seeing across the board is that the cause is largely the pandemic and the impacts of the pandemic, whether that is people being concerned about their health and safety if they're not yet vaccinated, childcare challenges, and that's what we're working to address.
They're just not going to give in, are they? They're never going to say they may have goofed up with that. But that's okay. They never admit any mistakes at all. Where else are we? Here we are. Politico and other news outlets are happy to announce California has a staggering $75.7 billion budget surplus, which means they are really overtaxing people, don't you think? Also means they're getting $41 billion from the United States government to help them through this costly pandemic. Yeah, they're going to give out checks to people who make $75,000 and below, so you might want to see if you can move to California real quick. Well, again, there's a question then. Are we doing too much when we don't have to? Of course not. No.
Jen, let me ask you, the state of California right now is projecting a budget surplus of roughly $76 billion, such that the governor of that state is now wanting to deliver checks of roughly $600 to everybody making less than $75,000. As you know, this all comes against the backdrop of those $350 billion from the American Rescue Plan. being handed out to states and local governments. So did the White House overestimate how much money would be needed? California itself gets $42 billion out of the deal.
Well, first let me say that the way that the money was determined is by statute. It requires Treasury to allocate funds to states based in part on the average number of unemployed people in states in the last 3 months of 2020. So that's how the determination was made from state to state. So for California or any state across the country, it was based on the final 3 months of unemployment in 2020. Here's what we still know, that there's a broad and flexible list of guidelines for how these funds can be used, including to put public servants back to work, ramp up the effectiveness of COVID response and vaccination programs, help workers train for and secure good paying jobs. Those are all needs that exist in California and exist in states across the country. And as I noted in response to the earlier question, there are still millions of people out of work in this country and still millions of people who are serving in jobs like police officers, firefighters, educators who could benefit from this assistance that's going out.
But given that based on those numbers, obviously, we now recognize that California has much more money than you anticipated, should that raise any questions for critics of how much money the president wants to spend on the upcoming proposals, including the infrastructure plan as it relates to social programs?
Well, first, I would say that a core of the infrastructure, the American Jobs Plan, is on rebuilding infrastructure around the country that we all know is outdated, whether that is bridges across the country, whether that is roads and railways that have there's agreement among Democrats and Republicans, including many in Congress, that needs to be invested. Those investments are necessary. Things like redoing our lead pipes around the country, which will ensure kids have clean drinking water, will also create jobs. So what that proposal is about modernizing outdated infrastructure, doing it in a way that brings us to the 21st century and helps us compete with China. That is a big long-term investment and one that, the president certainly stands by.
I want to let other people out.
Well, what he is trying to point out is, hey, some states have the money, so should we send money to them? Oh, no, well, we've got to send the money. Yeah, we've already done this. Yeah, it doesn't matter if they have money or not. We've got to do this. Yeah, see, that's a sensible question. Some states may have the money to do these projects, so why should the federal government borrow more money to do it? Because we don't have the money to do any of this. Now, interesting side note here. The California governor, who is also in the middle of a recall and wants to shore up his voting base, wants to hand out checks. But if you are a state or local government that that of the money given to you through the American Rescue Plan, if you want to cut taxes, they don't want you to do that. More Biden weirdness, or stupidity, or unfairness, however you look at it. Oh, we're going to spend some time where? Make a run on the border. No, not at Taco Bell. Down on the border, out on the street. Anyway, a lot of border news. We start with this. Becerra's cautious border play rankles White House. Mr. Becerra, the head of the Department of Health and Human Services, whom has had all the unaccompanied minors dumped into his abortion suing lap. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, isn't it? Yeah, it should give the job to Dr. Rachel Levine, but he actually knows something about health and human services. Mr. Becerra doesn't. So, but anyway, Mr. Becerra is a slow, methodical person who wants to do things, try to do things right, all of that. Take his time, examine the possibilities, make sure this and that and everything else. And it's driving them crazy because they want this over and done with yesterday. And it's not, as we're going to see. See, just nothing's all that peachy keen there. This is not nice, or is it fun to watch? The exclusive video shows migrants with kids crossing into Texas as Biden's crisis rages. All right, so don't we have the exclusive video? Where's our exclusive video? Huh? What'd you people do with it? Let's see, is it this one? No, wrong one. We had exclusive video, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see if this is it. I had it recorded, I promise you. All right. Let's see if we can find it. Maybe that is it. Yeah, that's it. Pay attention, kid. All right, watch this. You know, on one hand, that little boy had to be scared half to death. The mother's scared. The other kid in her arm doesn't know what's going on. The dad won't drop whatever's on his head. Maybe he doesn't know what's going on. The stranger has to come up, help with the boy. That's not our fault, ladies and gentlemen. That is the regime's fault for making everybody to think they can come and get in, which they are, and they do. And it's also these parents' fault for crossing the river like that. I mean, why not bring your dad, help the kids across, and then go back, get your stuff, and bring it across? Or maybe here's a better idea, don't come. I mean, they would have sat there, if that little boy had drowned, they would have sat there and cried, and the whole nation would have felt sorry for them, saying, this is horrible, and it is, but it's not our fault. It's not our fault. Why do these people do this with their kids? Oh, we need a better life. Oh, come on. There's other ways to do it. Why people are fleeing Honduras for the U.S., all that's left here is misery. Well, maybe so, but jeez. Joining the exodus of Hondurans fleeing their benighted homeland, Luis Alberto Enrique and his family search for the unmarked footpath into Guatemala to begin their dangerous 1,500-mile journey to the Texas border. As they walked through the border town of Corinto on a humid morning last month, his two young daughters tote pink Disney backpacks and their favorite stuffed animals. Enrique says he heard the United States is no longer turning migrants back. You heard correctly, as long as you got a kid with you. As long as you got a kid with you, Enrique. Come on down. I forgot to get that one back. I heard on the news there is chaos on the U.S.-Mexico border, but I understand they're not deporting families. Enrique said, we're putting ourselves in the hands of U.S. law. Here, life is very hard. Hondurans represent the largest nationality crossing the southern U.S. border, asking for asylum more than 200 families a day, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Many are still expelled under the pandemic public health order, but increasingly families are being allowed in to begin the asylum process. They're not really running from anything but a hard life. But apply legally. Xavier Becerra spent decades urging congressional leaders to support liberalized legal immigration, but he's sounding a different note as health secretary responsible for caring for upwards of 21,000 migrant children. Becerra has argued for maintaining the historically low Trump-era cap on refugee admissions to the U.S., according to two people with knowledge of the matter, for fear of stretching the already thin resources of his department's refugee office, which Biden said, Jen said it had nothing to do with it. Biden said it had something to do with it. His insistence on a more cautious approach to immigration policy has moreover contributed to his shaky standing with some quarters of a fast-paced White House, where senior aides have spent weeks pressing the health department to speed its intake of thousands of children at the southern border, and bristled at what friends and skeptics alike describe as Becerra's times deliberate manner. He cares about raising the caps, but Let's take one challenge at a time. One person close to Becerra said of his mindset, emotionally he's there, but he's always a pragmatist. And I think I might, did I confuse two stories? I might have. Anyway, let's see where it goes. I don't know what we're doing here anymore. 1, 2, 3. Let's see. Yeah, this is, I did. All right, we've got more to do. That just goes on. I don't know what happened to the story of the, maybe that was it. Maybe, who did that story? Maybe that was all the story. Anyway, so they're fleeing because life is miserable. Do we have anything else that's not about Becerra? Because, okay, we already know about him. Yeah, well, somebody messed up, and that somebody would be me. So there's nothing left but misery for them. It's all very sad. And I just, yeah, we messed it up. All right, I did it. Sorry. Yeah, it's all sad. And it only gets sadder. But we do have unaccompanied minors, ladies and gentlemen.
I got unaccompanied minors! Is this some kind of prison?
Of course, the kids wish it was like that, but it's not. We have this very extremely sad story. Border crisis. 5 unaccompanied migrant girls found abandoned in Texas. 5 abandoned migrant girls, all under the age of 7. Were discovered Sunday by a Texas farmer on his land in Coronado near the Rio Grande River. What? Just these little kids all over the place. What's wrong with these people? Representative Tony Gonzalez, Republican of Texas, spoke with a farmer who said he found the baby girls hungry and crying. He said one was naked and was crawling because she was too young to walk. And there they were, just left there. Whoever did that needs to be prosecuted, not reunited with them. Gonzalez tweeted a photo of the girls Sunday night with the caption, "Take a good hard look at the Biden border crisis at POTUS. Enough is enough. Let's work together to solve this crisis." Just little girls. Who lets their girls go? Who used them? And then you just let them go and hope somebody finds them? They don't even know what to do. The incident seemed to underscore the worsening situation along the southern border. Worsening. The farmer told Gonzalez that he lived on the farm since 1946 and he never experienced such conditions. Last night, this from Representative Tony Gonzalez. Last night I shared a heartbreaking photo of young children found by a farmer on his land in Coronado. While we thank God they were found alive, these tragic scenes are happening more and more. Today I visited with him and talked about the border crisis. We need a solution now. You got to close the border completely. This is just, ladies and gentlemen, this is horrible. U.S. Customs and Border Protection said the girls would go under the custody of the Department of Health and Human Services. I'm sure Secretary Becerra was glad to hear that. Once they were processed, the girls ranged in age from 11 months to 7 years old, according to ABC7. 3 of them are believed to be from Honduras, while the other 2 from Guatemala. The report said the girls did not require medical attention. Chief Border Patrol Agent Austin Scarrow II called the discovery heartbreaking. Unfortunately, this happens far too often now. If not for our community and law enforcement partners, these little girls could have faced the more than 100-degree temperatures with no help, he said. Edwin, that's the reporter. So, so you've got, they're obviously not the same family because some are from one country, some another. And they're just there. Which tells you what? people just use them to get across the border. They didn't need them and they scattered, I guess. I don't know. Do you think they crossed the river that one little boy was almost drowning in? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know why just don't send the Army or the National Guard down there to stop it. Just stop people from coming across. It's not that hard. Oh, and we missed another, okay, let me find that one, because this one is important to, not that one yet. Let's go. This one's important. Why didn't you people get this one up? What's wrong? What? Any of you working today? All right. This is Secretary Mayorkas again. If I can find it, I think it's this one. We hope. All right. We've got a question for you, Secretary.
Secretary Mayorkas, we have cameras today in Texas that are showing humongous groups of dozens or hundreds of migrants walking right into the country. So I'm curious what you meant last week when you said the border is closed.
What I meant is precisely that. The border is closed. We are expelling single adults and families under the Title 42 authority that rests with the Center for Disease Control. And we decided as an administration, in furtherance of the president's direction, to administer our immigration laws of this country in an orderly and safe and humane way, that we will not expel unaccompanied children.
Mayor.
And that is precisely why they keep coming, because you keep talking like that. We have this, we're borrowing from Fox News, which will show you what Peter Ducey's question is about. While we have many other items to show you, we're running out of time, so let's get to this. Every time I have a special program planned, I have all this other stuff going on. You know, so a pipeline got shut down, so millions of people might be without gas tomorrow. It's all right, come on.
The border now in Del Rio, Texas. I've had my eye on the situation that we showed you moments ago when Pete Hegseth joined me for the breaking news. The Biden administration insists that the border is closed. Does it feel closed to you? Is this what it looks like? Look at the stream of migrants crossing the Rio Grande River. And this is ongoing. Our own Bill Malushin is there on the ground. Now, Bill, I did moments ago see some uniformed, is that Border Patrol? I'm looking over your shoulder, so tell me who's on the ground there to deal with the situation. I see police now.
Yeah, Harris, good afternoon to you. Believe it or not, this is actually the third day in a row that we've witnessed the exact same thing you're seeing here happen here. This is the largest group we've seen so far, a group of 52 migrants that just crossed the Rio Grande. You were just showing the video a few moments ago here, and almost all of them are Venezuelans. Yes, Border Patrol is here now, along with local sheriff's deputies and state troopers. But again, this is the biggest group we've seen do this, the third day in a row. This has been happening every morning we've been out here in Del Rio, and every day, most of these migrants have been coming from Venezuela and Cuba. And Brian, I'm going to try to ask him real quick. Hola, ¿todos de Venezuela? ¿Sí? ¿Hay alguien aquí que tiene familia en los Estados Unidos? Okay, so everybody here is saying they're from Venezuela, and everybody who raised their hand has families here in the United States. Right now, Border Patrol is dividing this group into two different groups. The ones we just talked to here, these are the families. Over here, these are the single adults who have come across. And typically what's happening here is local sheriff's deputies and state troopers are having to process these migrants when they present themselves at the river here because Border Patrol has been so overwhelmed. They then have to call in Border Patrol, who then show up here and begin processing these migrants. And we've been talking to a lot of these folks over the last 3 days, why they're coming, how they're coming. One family telling me yesterday, they went from Venezuela, they crossed into Colombia, then they paid somebody off to get a flight into Mexico, then they took a bus and came kind of to the border crossing behind us, right behind the Rio Grande, and then they crossed when the river is running low and it's safer. Almost everybody here telling us they're coming to the United States because they fear the Venezuelan government, and Okay, it looks like we have some more people about to cross right now. So this is what we've been noticing. This is happening every single morning. We typically see a guide kind of pop up at the top of the hill. He'll scout the area out, and then some vehicles will pull up, and then these migrants will get out of the vehicles, walk down to the water's edge, and you can see it's pretty shallow. It's running pretty low right now, and this is when they like to cross because it's much safer. So that looks to be a group of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7-ish, most likely potentially a family unit. Most of the units we've seen coming across are families like this. But guys, we hear the administration saying the border is getting under control. We heard DHS Secretary Mayorkas say on Friday when he toured the Donna facility that, quote, the border is closed. Local law enforcement here will tell you, no, it's not. They'll tell you this is a crisis.
Right.
This is something we've seen happen every single day. Del Rio sector extremely hot, averaging more than 700 apprehensions every day in the last week. Border Patrol reporting just in the last week, they've apprehended more than 5,000 migrants. So very busy here in Del Rio, and it's happening all along the U.S.-Mexico border. And, you know, a lot of frustration down here on the ground,
Bill?
guys. We'll send it back to you.
I want to cut in here for just a moment, because what we saw live at the top of this program was more than just people entering illegally at a point that obviously is not a checkpoint that's set up for them. I mean, they're standing in line like that because our resources had to go there from the United States, because they're coming into a porous point that is not technically a security point. So there are a couple things that cross my mind. We know that the drug cartels are gaming the system as people are crossing, and they're hoping that they'll do it this way for 2 reasons. They put those bracelets on them. Many of them are trying to get those bracelets off in the water. They're trying to get rid of those markings before, and they can do so without detection, because with our cameras down there, without our cameras, I don't know how much more we would see. I mean, I don't know what kind of security cameras are down there, but so you've got the cartels that are able to mule people in, if you will, to use that as a verb. The other thing you have is the danger that maybe people don't know about. We saw a child that was being lifted. The water was above his or her head. They're lifting that little one up so that his head doesn't go below the surface of the water. That water is moving. It is fast. This is not the way we want people to come into this country for their own safety. So I'm looking, what kind of questions is Border Patrol asking? Are they asking about the cartels? Are they looking for bracelets? I know these people are coming from Venezuela, but the cartels they're waiting for them.
Right. So, no, we haven't heard Border Patrol asking them questions like that. It's typically, where are you from? How many people are you with? Where are you trying to go? And then they kind of process them and get them onto the bus. Now, what you've been saying is absolutely true. And we literally watched. We knew this group was going to come because we saw a man at the top of the hill over there scouting the area out. It's something we've seen happen every single day. And typically a couple of minutes after that, the vehicles pull up and the folks get out. So, look, you're seeing it happen again right here. This looks to be probably another family unit crossing the Rio right now. And, again, they're doing this every single morning that we've been here. And you can see they're not trying to run away. They're not trying to hide. They're literally just presenting themselves here to local law enforcement. And yes, we do have a Border Patrol unit here now, but the first day we were here, it took upwards of 2 hours for Border Patrol to arrive. And, you know, the local sheriff out here, he says they need more resources down here, and somebody from D.C. needs to physically come here and take a look at what's going on, because this is happening every single day. So, Harris, you can imagine the frustration on the ground here, taking a look at these images. Here we go again.
Bill, I'm going to have to let you go, but I'm just curious, because our cameras through you were capturing all this Border Patrol. Those officials were not there from the very beginning. And I see the 2 gentlemen, because I could sort of see his sheriff's badge or something official in the white shirt and in the blue shirt. But I mean, in the beginning, these people were crawling up and others were helping them. I mean, are they talking getaways from today? I mean, I guess we could pull the tape. I'm just curious. Are these people making it into the country before authorities are able to get there? Just a quick answer.
Some are. The ones we've seen here are not. These ones are just presenting themselves. They kind of want to be taken into custody because they don't care if they get caught. They just want to be here. Now, down the road from where we're at, yes, other people will try to get through into the brush. There have been police pursuits with DPS and with the local sheriff's department here having to chase people. But overwhelmingly, what we've seen happen is what you're looking at right now here. People just presenting themselves to local law enforcement, many of them emotional like this. They want to be taken into custody. And most of the people from Venezuela and Cuba and Haiti, they get those asylum claims.
They look exhausted. They look emotional. You've been talking with these people, fortunately, in a bilingual way, so we can pick up on some of what you're saying, too. That's very helpful. Some of us understand.
All right. right, so I'm running out of time, so maybe we'll finish it tomorrow. But did you know that I wanted to go to that point because what did he say? From Venezuela, Haiti, and Cuba, they get in. So it's not just the Northern Triangle, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Honduras, and then, of course, always Mexico. But they're coming from Venezuela, Cuba, and Haiti, ladies and gentlemen. And if you notice these people, you know, some of them, they don't look like they're missing meals down in Venezuela, like we're being told that there's no food. And they take planes into Mexico, buses to the border. What in the world? But the border is closed. We heard that from Secretary Mayorkas himself. And the man wouldn't tell us something that's not true. People are getting in, ladies and gentlemen. They're what? They're what? Yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that. What was I thinking? Hey, guys. Dog night, named that way because in Australia they measure how cold it is by how many dogs it takes to put on you to stay warm. A 3-dog night's a really cold night. And they're from Canada, so go figure that one out. I don't know. Anyway, we have so much more on the border, but at least we got some of it done. Didn't get any of it done yesterday. It is Godformation time as we quickly try to wrap up today's probably not award-winning. We had some production errors. I'm sorry we didn't have some things ready. I will talk to my producer, me, tomorrow and get that straightened out. All right. They are furious. The people above the president, vice president, and all of their staffers that really run the country. It's really scary. They are furious with the amateurish attempts to cover up the jobs report. Their messaging is causing even more division within the regime. And, of course, you've got the pipeline, which they're just doing busy work on. Anyway. Harris, not Harris Faulkner, whom we just saw on Fox, who was not interviewing or asking questions very well. She was kind of all over the place, but it's okay. We all have those days. But Vice President Harris, ladies and gentlemen, is laughing at all of them, the regime, because they wouldn't listen to her when she told them that Biden will never sell their cover-up stories over the jobs number. And so far, he has not. She calls him the old man, but not in the complimentary way. Oh, talk to the old man? It's like, no, the old man. He's an old man. And he is. So how can you argue with that? But I don't think she's being age sensitive. They have been told to never, again, by the higher-ups, the people really running the country, making all the decisions. They have people saying, don't close the border, keep letting these people in. They have been told to never have another report like the one from April again, even if they must doctor the numbers. Ooh. Tomorrow may not be good. The inflation numbers are coming out. So, we will see. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, every day we're being shown how incompetent, how evil, and how untrustworthy this group is. And they've only been here a little over 100 days. It's only going to get worse. Anyway, thanks for watching. God bless the USA. Oh, pray for the country. Make your voice heard. Call on the border. Call on all the money going out. Call on something. Pray for one another. Pray for the country. We'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.